You need to know how to get the words right. That's super important. But in addition to the words you say, there's how you say those words. Because when you exude that confidence and that authority, it gives people confidence in you. So we want to follow a leader who exudes confidence. A leader who exudes certainty and confidence gives us the confidence that we can trust them and that they are going to take us across the finish line.
Welcome to The Art of Speaking Up, a podcast that helps professional women access the limitless potential that lies within them. I'm your host, Jessica Guzik, and my mission is to help you find that spark inside you that has the power to transform your career in ways you may not have thought possible. I'm so excited that you're here. And now, on to the show.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Jess, and I am the host and creator of the Art of Speaking Up podcast. I started this show because I struggled to find my confidence and find my voice when I was in my corporate career before I became a full-time career coach and podcaster. And I really wished when I was in the thick of my struggles, I wish there was more career resources and career advice out there for women that was inspirational and transparent and honest and useful. I really struggled to find something that inspired me and deeply helped me in my professional journey of becoming a leader. And so I started this show because I wanted to fill that void and I wanted to be a source of inspiration and guidance and help for women who are super ambitious and want to rise up in their careers and feel really satisfied with their career path and feel super confident and super badass at work. And that's why I created this show. I used to have a corporate career. It turned out to be really successful. My confidence grew and I found my voice. But as I did that, I fell so in love with this podcast that I ended up taking this show full time. And now I'm a career coach for women in corporate. And I help you and I help my clients both through my one-on-one coaching and through my group program, the Art of Speaking Up Academy. I help my clients build confidence, become effective communicators, and really accelerate their career path. And that's what we're doing here today. And I'm so excited because I'm talking about something that you for sure have experience with. Not for sure, but you very likely have experience with if you listen to this show. I know it's certainly something that I have personal experience with and that I've really evolved through as my confidence has grown and as I've really found my own voice and grown my own confidence. And that is the topic of sounding confident and exuding that confidence, that authority, that energy that communicates to your audience. Like, I've got this. I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how to do that when you're feeling doubtful or anxious or nervous or small on the inside. And I'm sure that you know how important it is to exude confidence when you speak. I talk about this sometimes on the show. I haven't talked about this in a while, but when I think about communication, I always think about it as there's the words that you say, and it's important to know how to speak in a way that's simple and clear and effective for your audience. So the words matter, right? You need to know how to form your communication in a way that's going to be effective, in a way that's going to resonate with an executive audience. You need to know how to get the words right. That's super important. But in addition to the words you say, there's how you say those words. And sometimes this is more important. And if you've ever been told that you're doing great work, but that people need to see more leadership from you, this is sometimes what they're talking about. They're missing that sense of confidence and authority that they want to feel from you when you're speaking, because when you exude that confidence and that authority, it gives people confidence in you, right? So we want to follow a leader who exudes confidence. A leader who exudes certainty and confidence gives us the confidence that we can trust them and that they are going to take us across the finish line. It's sort of like when you're speaking, you're stepping up as a leader because you're sharing your perspective, you're speaking to a room full of people, you're speaking to your colleagues. And as your colleagues are listening, they're feeding off your energy. So when your energy is confident and certain, they will feel more confident and certain in you. And this has really nothing to do with the words that you're saying. And it's all about the energy that you're exuding, right? Like the emotions, the body language, the tone. It's about all of those intangibles and how those intangibles make your audience feel. And I'm sure you've had an experience of listening to someone speak and feeling like that person had the ability to lead you, feeling like you could trust that person to guide you because they're carrying themselves with such strength and such inner confidence that you feel that confidence in them and you are drawn to them and you want to trust them and you want to listen to them and you feel comfortable that they can guide you. So when you exude confidence, right, when you're exuding that energy that you know what you're doing and that you're stepping up into leadership and you're certain about what you're saying, your audience will have deeper trust in you. They'll have deeper trust in your leadership, in your ability to take them across the finish line. And that's why it's not just about the words you say, but it's also about how you say those words, the energy behind those words. I often say it's like taking a movie script and having two different actors read the script. It could be the same exact words, but each actor can say the words in a completely different way. So it's not just the words that matter, but it's the emotion, the energy, the humanity behind the words. And when you get good at exuding that confidence, that authority, that certainty, you become very effective when you're communicating in meetings. This is why in my group program, the Art of Speaking Up Academy, this is why I put equal focus on both the words that you say and how to use words that are going to be compelling, persuasive, and effective for an executive audience. But I also put equal focus on how you say those words and helping you really exude that confidence and authority because you want both. You want your words to be sharp and crisp and clear and influential and persuasive, but you want your tone and the energy underneath those words to convey to your audience, I know what I'm doing. I can be trusted to lead. And that's what we're talking about in today's episode. And we're talking about something that is so foundational and so important. This is something that I talk about inside the Art of Speaking Up Academy. This is something that I work on with so many of my one-on-one clients because it is an essential, unskippable part of the process of learning to exude confidence when you speak. And that is learning how to exude confidence even when on the inside you're feeling doubtful and nervous. What I see a lot, both with my Art of Speaking Up Academy clients and my one-on-one clients, and you might see yourself in this, is a lot of my clients will have the false belief. I work with them to help them undo this false belief. This is a limiting belief. It is a belief that will keep you from strengthening your voice and growing your confidence. So we want to help you get rid of this belief. But they have a false belief that if they start to feel doubt, if they start to feel nervous, if they start to feel small and they don't feel strong on the inside, they think that as soon as they start to feel those things, it is no longer possible for them to exude confidence and authority. And because they believe that that's true, meetings and opportunities to communicate start to feel really tough and overwhelming and intimidating because they feel out of control. They feel like their lack of confidence is so overwhelming that they can't possibly exude confidence when they speak. And so then they have an extra layer of worry because now they're worried about how they're going to feel and how that feels so out of their control. And then like how that's going to detract from the effectiveness of their communication and of the tone and the body language and all those intangibles that I was talking about. And this is something that so many of my clients experience. And what I want to help you see today is that that's a limiting belief. And the sooner that you can let go of it, the sooner the strength of your communication and the authority in your voice will start to grow and improve. Now, when I talk about feeling doubtful inside and feeling not strong and not confident on the inside, it's important for me to share that this looks different for everyone. For some people, that internal lack of confidence is experienced more on a psychological level, more just in their minds and hearts. They're not feeling strong. For some of my clients, it's experienced more on a physical level. Maybe their voice is like physically like getting quiet and they're experiencing shaking and they feel like their actual voice is changing. And for many of my clients, it's a combination of both, right? Where physically they're feeling their confidence go away and those symptoms of nervousness are starting to come up. But also psychologically, they're having a lot of thoughts and, an internal experience of I lack confidence and I don't feel strong and I don't feel good about myself and I'm shrinking away and I don't feel solid in this room full of super smart people. They're also having that psychological experience. And what I'm sharing today, it really applies for both. And everyone's starting point is different. And I also want to let you know that I'm speaking about this from experience. I'm a pretty nervous human. Like, I am not a cool as a cucumber kind of person. Of course, it depends on the situation. There's some situations where I do feel super confident and cool as a cucumber. And the longer that I go through my own confidence building journey, the more and more I feel confident. But I am more naturally a nervous person who has been on a journey of slowly learning to feel and sound more confident. And I still get nervous if I'm stretching myself and speaking to a big group of people. So I'm not talking down on you. I'm really teaching you from experience because I've made enormous progress in my own journey, learning to be the type of communicator and voice I want to be, even if I feel psychologically small inside, even if I'm experiencing those physical symptoms of nervousness. And I've walked a lot of my clients through this as well so that they can become stronger communicators without having to feel and be perfect. A huge thing that I'm helping you with in today's episode is realizing that you don't need to feel perfect inside to begin strengthening your voice. Because if you're anything like my clients, your ideal situation is like you want to feel amazing and never feel doubtful and never feel nervous. And you want everything to go smoothly all of the time. And that creates a ton of pressure. And you're just trying to control a bunch of things that aren't all within your control. And then you're not trying to control the things that actually you can control. And that is my focus for today's episode. And this is primarily mindset. So what I'm talking about in today's episode is mindset work. I'm obsessed with mindset work because it really changed my life. Doing mindset work and understanding my mindset and understanding how to change it is at the core of how I built and developed my own sense of self-confidence. It's at the core of my coaching. It's at the core of the Art of Speaking Up Academy. And it's at the core of this podcast episode because I don't think it is possible to build a powerful voice and become an unstoppable leader without growing your mindset. And that is why I'm so committed to helping you do that. Okay, so to teach you this muscle of exuding confidence, even when you feel doubt and uncertainty, and even when you are not feeling confident on the inside, right? So what we're talking about in today's episode is projecting confidence on the outside when you are not feeling that on the inside. Some people call this fake it till you make it. That expression doesn't resonate with me. I don't think it's fake. I think this is all part of a journey of self-discovery and self-exploration. But that is what we were talking about today, is exuding confidence when you speak even if on the inside, the confidence isn't exactly where you want it to be. Now, what's so important for you to understand is that the end goal is for you to feel confident on the inside so that naturally you sound confident when you speak. So I'm not saying that I want you to not feel confident on the inside, but what I have found from my own journey of building an enormous amount of very deep-seated confidence in myself, and from my work supporting so many women in doing this as well, is that when you don't feel confident on the inside and you're not sounding confident when you speak, it's really hard to jump to that point of sheer perfection where you feel confident inside and you sound confident on the outside. And what I have found and what I really recommend you embrace, because it's going to benefit you so much to embrace this, what I have found is that if you want to get to that point where you feel confident on the inside and you're naturally exuding that confidence when you speak on the outside, is that there's a messy middle that you have to go through. There's a messy middle that you have to go through where you learn how to practice sounding confident before you feel the confidence inside. And the more that you practice exuding confidence on the outside, even when you're not feeling it on the inside, the more the inside catches up with the outside. So the more you are able to practice exuding confidence on the outside, I'm going to say it one more time because it's so important, the faster the inside will catch up with the outside. So I want you to think about this as the messy middle. And I want you to think about the messy middle as a rite of passage that you get to go through that is going to make you stronger. The messy middle is where you try to exude confidence even when you aren't fully feeling it inside. And that is the most badass thing you can do because that is so much harder than feeling amazing and exuding the confidence, right? Like being in the messy middle is harder. It requires more boldness. It requires more grit. It requires more badassery. It requires more courage. So even though it can feel really hard to push yourself to sound confident, to exude confidence when you are feeling doubt, even though it can feel hard and messy and weird and sometimes awkward, it is where the true confidence is built, right? Because you're having the courage to push yourself, to try something different, to change the way that you speak. And that requires so much heart and so much bravery. And it is through that heart and that bravery and that experimentation that then that internal organic confidence actually starts to develop. So when you're willing to get messy and just push yourself a little bit to practice before you feel like you're quote unquote there, you grow a natural, lasting, sustainable confidence. So even though the messy middle is messy, I love it. I love the messy middle because when I'm getting messy and I'm in the messy middle, I know I'm growing. I know I'm becoming more badass. I'm becoming stronger. I'm becoming more resilient. So yes, it's hard. It feels difficult. It can feel scary and vulnerable and exposing. But there's a part of me that's like, well, this is my initiation into becoming this badass, unstoppable warrior woman. And that's really what I want to help you build. And that is also just so much of what I build with my students in the Art of Speaking Up Academy. We talk about this idea of being able to get through the hard things and like becoming the badass version of ourselves who is willing to go through the messy middle and experience hard things so that she can emerge strong and resilient and unstoppable. So what we're talking about in today's episode is grit and courage and resilience. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but it's one of the most valuable things that you can do. Take it from me. I have been working on myself for a long time. I have been coaching my clients for a long time. I have spent so much time and energy on this. And so be willing to enter into the messy middle. And so now I want to talk to you about the messy middle and how to effectively enter into that messy middle of learning how to sound confident on the outside before you're feeling it, fully on the inside so that you can get to that end point you desire of, well, you naturally just feel the confidence on the inside and you don't have to put a whole lot of effort into exuding certainty and confidence. So here's how I want you to think about this. I want you to think about whatever sort of doubt or nervousness or internal lack of confidence that you experience, whatever it's like for you. I want you to think about that as being like turbulence on an airplane. So I want you to imagine that when you're feeling really confident and really, really solid, it's as if the airplane that you are on is smooth and peaceful and flying through the sky just as planned. And also, I want you to imagine that whenever a wave of doubt or nerves or anxiety or lack of confidence washes over you, whenever that wave washes over you, then that means that the airplane encounters turbulence and maybe it starts shaking. Maybe you hear a little bit of a rattle. Maybe the flight attendant who is walking the drink cart down the aisle trips for a minute and the plane's a little bit shaky. Okay. Now, often, this is what happens with me, and I think this might also happen with you. Often when the plane gets turbulent, we get a little scared. At least for me, when I'm on an airplane and there's turbulence, there's always this fear in the back of my head of like, is this plane going down? And I know it probably isn't, but there's something really scary and really destabilizing, like psychologically, about being on a plane that's getting super turbulent. Likewise, when you have a wave of nerves come over you and you're wanting to speak and sound confident, that's really destabilizing too, right? Just like being on an airplane, you want it to be smooth. You don't want that turbulence. When you're speaking to other people, you don't want turbulence. You don't want nerves. You don't want internal feelings of smallness because that's going to make it really hard for you to exude confidence when you speak, right? Okay. So what is the one thing that we don't want to happen on an airplane as soon as the turbulence happens? For me, the one thing that I do not want to happen as soon as the turbulence hits is I do not want the pilot to get on the PA intercom system on the airplane and sound panicked. That is the one thing that is like the scariest possible thing that can happen after the turbulence hits. Because inevitably, if I'm wondering, is this plane going down? This is feeling a little bit scary. If I'm wondering that scary thought, I have that scary question in my mind, I don't want the pilot who knows exactly what's going on with the plane and exactly why there's turbulence and exactly how dangerous or not dangerous it is. I do not want that pilot signaling to me that this turbulence is bad. And in fact, I want the total opposite. So I want the pilot to get on that intercom and reassure me that this turbulence is totally normal and that everything is going to be okay, right? And what happens with the anxiety that I feel if the pilot gets on the intercom and sounds really panicked? If the pilot sounds panicked, or even if the flight attendants seem panicked, I'm going to be more distressed, right? It's going to stress me out more. Likewise, or rather on the flip side, if the pilot is calm and reassures me that this is normal and everything's fine, and the flight attendants are calm and they're passing out ice water, I'm going to feel like everything's fine. And my anxiety and my fear is probably going to shrink. Okay, so here's how I think about waves of smallness and nervousness that come over you when you're about to speak. I think about those waves as turbulence, right? Those waves are like turbulence on an airplane. And you are the passenger on the airplane, but you're also the pilot. The voice of the pilot is how you dialogue with yourself in your mind. The voice of the pilot is your mindset. And often, what a lot of us do when we are feeling small or nervous, right? And we're feeling that proverbial turbulence, what a lot of us do is we get on the intercom system of our own minds and we panic, right? So if we were to hear our own internal monologue playing through all of the speakers across the airplane, we might hear something like, oh my God, this is so bad. Why am I feeling this way? What is wrong with me? I'm going to embarrass myself. My audience is going to think that I'm worthless and they're going to think that my work is dumb. And this is going to keep getting worse. This is my worst case scenario. I can't believe this is happening. I'm so frustrated with myself. I feel so worthless and unable to communicate. This is going to ruin my career. How am I going to get that promotion? I'm going to stay stuck. And it goes on and on and on. When we do that, that is equivalent to the pilot of a flight getting on the intercom and being like, oh my gosh, the plane is shaking. What is happening? This is going to ruin the entire flight. We are no longer safe. Imagine what it would be like if the pilot started saying those things. And yet we do that to ourselves, right? So we get on the intercom of our own minds as soon as we notice the turbulence and we panic. And what happens when we do that is that wave of nerves, that wave of smallness, that lack of confidence that washed over us gets bigger in response to us freaking out over the intercom. So just like if a pilot freaks out over the intercom on an airplane, we will get more freaked out about the turbulence. Likewise, if we feel nervous, if we feel smallness, if we're not feeling strong inside and we start freaking out in the intercom of our own minds, then our feelings of smallness, our lack of confidence, our nervousness is going to escalate, right? It's going to escalate. And this is a cycle that you might have experienced where you are hoping to feel strong and confident and badass and solid so that when you speak, you can speak as the version of you that you want to be, as the woman who sounds strong and certain and confident. That is who you want to be when you speak. So you go into a meeting or a conversation hoping that that's how you're going to feel so that you can sound the way that you want to sound. But then what happens is you encounter some turbulence, you encounter some choppiness. And in response to that turbulence, in response to that wave of smallness that washes over you, you get on the intercom, right? Because you're also the pilot. But instead of reassuring yourself, you start to tell yourself how awful and bad you are, how awful and bad the situation is, and how awful and bad the future is going to be because of the turbulence that you're experiencing in the present. And so it makes it really hard for you then to sound confident for your audience because not only are you feeling nervous, are you feeling small inside, but internally you're amping up your own nervousness. You're amping up the smallness. You're making it bigger by the things that you're saying on the intercom system of your own mind. So if you want to be able to exude more confidence while you're in the messy middle, and while you're still not always feeling 100% confident, you have to learn to do what a good pilot knows how to do when there's turbulence on an airplane. You have to learn how to reassure everyone on the airplane that things are a little bit shaky, but everything is going to be a-okay. So just like on an airplane, what we most want to hear is, well, folks, we've encountered some choppy blah, 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 but everything is fine. We expect this to clear in 15 or so minutes, and then we'll be back to smooth sailing. Do you like my pilot voice, right? But like, how good does it feel when we get to hear that? We're like, everything's fine. It's just a little bit of choppiness, right? And all of a sudden, that anxiety that we were feeling is a little bit calmer. It's a little bit less. It's a little bit smaller. And that's what you want to learn to do for yourself. So when the turbulence hits, when you feel a wave of nervousness or you feel a wave of smallness, that's your cue that it's time for you to get on the intercom system. And that's your cue to remember that when you get on the intercom system, you don't have to panic. You don't have to tell yourself how awful you are for this happening. And in fact, you get to decide what you want to say on the intercom system. And you get to say something that is going to support you in sounding the way that you want to sound. So you get to say something that is going to support you in sounding confident, even if you're feeling some turbulence inside. So instead of saying, oh my gosh, this is so bad. I can't believe I'm doing this. What is wrong with me? You might want to say something like, oh, I'm feeling nervous. I'm noticing this wave of smallness washing over me. That old familiar feeling of lacking confidence and shrinking away is here, but I think I can handle this. I think I'm going to give this my best, even though these conditions aren't totally optimal. Even though it's a little shaky and a little turbulent, I trust in my abilities as a pilot. And I trust in my ability to navigate this plane smoothly, even though there's a ton of choppy waters ahead that are going to make that hard for me. I think I can do it anyway, right? And this, instead of escalating the nervousness and escalating the smallness that you feel, it helps it shrink. And it helps you be more resourced internally to project confidence as you speak, even though you are experiencing some turbulence inside. And what I see so often is a lot of my clients will assume that the confident people that they see, speaking confidently, looking so sure of themselves, they just assume like, oh, those people don't experience turbulence. Only I experience inner turbulence because something's wrong with me and I'm different. And what they don't realize, and what I want to help you realize, is that everyone experiences turbulence. Just like even the best pilot in the world is going to have flights where there's major turbulence. Likewise, the most confident speaker in the world, the strongest leader in the world, the most badass person in the world is also going to encounter instances in their life where they're experiencing turbulence. Now, everyone's trigger for their own inner turbulence is different, right? Some people experience a lot of turbulence when they have to present something. Some people experience it more if they have to speak off the cuff. Some people experience it more if they get asked a question that they don't know the answer to. Everyone's a little different, right? Maybe some people experience turbulence in their personal life and they don't experience a lot of turbulence at work. But the point is, every human experiences turbulence. And I think sometimes we think, oh, to become confident, I have to stop experiencing this turbulence. But really, to become confident, you just have to be really good at getting on the PA system, right? The intercom system, and calming down the passengers on the plane, calming down yourself, encouraging, supporting, and motivating yourself. And I have found this for me to be really, really freeing, because when you realize that you have this ability and that you can show up strong and speak in a way that you feel really proud of, even if you're experiencing turbulence, then suddenly you don't have to worry so much about feeling perfect and amazing inside, because you have a new skill set, the skill set of being able to get on that intercom system and help encourage yourself and calm yourself and really push yourself forward and push yourself to speak in the way that you want to speak. Now, this is a muscle you have to practice, right? So learning to even notice when you're saying very stressful things to yourself on the intercom system, that's a whole muscle of just noticing that, because a lot of the times when you do it, it's so automatic, you don't even realize that you're doing it. You're like a fish in water that doesn't feel wet because it's just the way you think, and you haven't grown that muscle of recognizing it. And so even that can take a lot of effort. And then as you get better at recognizing it, you get better at remembering to do something different. And as you get better at remembering to do something different, you become more flexible. You have more ways to respond when that inner turbulence hits. You have more options for sounding confident when that inner turbulence hits. And I don't know about you, but for me, This is one of the most empowering things that I have ever learned to do. My sense of self-confidence doesn't really come from all the times that I did something that was super easy and I didn't have turbulence and I felt confident and I sounded great. Like, those are not the reason that I feel confident right now sitting here. The reason that I feel confident is because of the times that my airplane was rattling and rolling and doing 360-degree spins. And I, instead of giving up on myself and panicking into the intercom, I took leadership of myself, of my spirit, of the situation. And I got on there and did the best damn job I could of reassuring the passengers, reassuring myself that I've got this and everything is going to be okay. That capability has changed me more than anything else and more than any moment of already feeling confident and already feeling perfect. It's the moments where I felt wildly imperfect and I've moved through them in a way that I feel so proud of that have really contributed to me feeling unstoppable and me feeling super badass. And this is what I find with my clients as well. A lot of them come into their work with me wanting initially to strive for perfection, to strive to never mess up and never have a bumpy moment and never have turbulence. And what they realize is that that's a really exhausting way to approach things. And that way of approaching things, it really dishonors the fact, like doesn't account for the fact that we're messy and we're human and we're not robots and we all have moments of turbulence. And they realize that it's so much more of a relief to learn how to navigate the turbulence rather than becoming obsessed with completely avoiding it. And that's what helps them feel powerful. And the beautiful thing about this is as you become proficient in navigating the turbulence, it tends to decrease. It tends to naturally and organically decrease over time. So as you get better at getting on the intercom and telling yourself that everything's fine and that this turbulence is totally normal and that things are absolutely going to be okay, as you get better at doing that, over time, the turbulence tends to decrease and that internal organic confidence that you're wanting begins to grow because you begin to develop such a powerful bond with yourself and such a powerful relationship with yourself, as you've seen over and over, that you can freaking navigate and walk yourself through even the most intense turbulence. Like, you develop such a strong bond with yourself in practicing that you begin to feel really strong and solid inside. And that turbulence either lessens or maybe the same amount of turbulence doesn't feel that shaky anymore. It feels different. It feels maybe more like a nuisance rather than this really difficult, really destabilizing thing. So the muscle that I want you to practice is the muscle of remembering that you are the pilot of the airplane that is you, and that even if you're feeling nervous inside or you're not feeling confident, you're feeling small and pathetic, whatever the feeling is, you can still sound effective when you speak by learning to get on the intercom and reassure yourself and the passengers on your airplane that everything is okay. This has changed everything for me. Truly, when I think about all of the capabilities I've built, all of the mindset work I've done, all of the growth I've experienced, there really are few things that feel more important to me than this. And I will say that this is something that I did not build alone. I have not historically been very good at getting on the intercom and learning how to speak to myself in a way that helps me grow my confidence in difficult moments. In fact, I was really, really bad at that. All I knew how to do was get on the intercom of my own mind and tell myself how awful I was and how pathetic I was and how embarrassing I was. And I cultivated the ability to get on that intercom and calm myself down and get myself through the turbulence. I cultivated that ability through support, in community, through mentorship, through coaching, through environments that were designed to help me learn to do that. Because when it is hard for us to do that on our own, when we are accustomed to being cruel to ourselves and mean to ourselves and heightening our own internal experience of anxiety and lack of confidence, it is very, very hard to change that and to develop this new muscle that I'm talking about alone. This is one of the reasons that I became a coach and that I made this my new profession. After building it, I had a really successful corporate career. I had everything I wanted. And one of the reasons that I was willing to let that go, which was really, really hard, I loved it, was because I saw through my own work, my own being a client of other coaches, I saw how profound it was when there's someone there to guide you, to help you grow this internal muscle, to help you build this capability to navigate the turbulence and navigate the difficult situations. And I really began to understand that this is not something that as humans, we are wired to learn to do alone. We're actually wired to learn to do this with the support, the guidance, the mentorship of other humans. This is why I became a coach. This is what I do with my one-on-one clients. And this is a huge part of what I teach you inside the Art of Speaking Up Academy is how to get really damn good at navigating the turbulence. Because if you are a pilot who can fly everyone to safety and reassure everyone no matter what happens, that is when you become limitless in your career because you can take on that next big challenge, that next big project, that next big meeting, that next big promotion. And even if it feels a little scary, even if you feel like it's going to stretch you, even if you feel like you're going to put yourself in rooms that are going to feel hard and intimidating, you know that you have the capability to get through it. And if you want to build that capability and make it lasting and sustainable, I invite you to come work with me. You can work with me one-on-one, and you can also work with me inside my group program, the Art of Speaking Up Academy. This is a muscle that when you build it, it will benefit you literally for the rest of your life. I am so thankful when I stumbled into coaching, I didn't even understand this. I didn't understand how profound the change was going to be for me. I was drawn to it. I've always been drawn to personal development, professional development. And so I kind of stumbled into it. If I had known how much growth was possible for me, I wouldn't have stumbled into it. I would have ran into it, sprinted into it super, super quickly, because for me, that inner confidence, that ability to be unstoppable, for me, that is priceless. That's what I want more than anything else. So had I truly understood the magnitude of how much it could help me, I would have gone a lot faster. And I share this with you because I want you to be the next transformation. I want you to be the next success story. I want you to get to that point in your career where you're like, wow, I'm starting to get really good at the things that used to feel really hard. And now I feel totally limitless and unstoppable. If you are ready for that, I invite you to come work with me. I will drop in the show notes all of the links that you need to learn about my one-on-one coaching and to learn about my group program, the Art of Speaking Up Academy. Feel free to reach out to me and send me an email if you have questions about either, or if you just want to say hi. Love hearing from you. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode, and I will catch you next week. Bye.